Good afternoon. Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a regular meeting on March 21st, 2023 at 5 p.m. in the City Commission chambers located on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street. Members of the public who submitted a public comment form will be permitted to offer public comments as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting. A recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Mayor, it is 5:01. You may call the meeting to order.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Call the meeting to order. Thanks for being here.
Next item is invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's all stand for the prayer and please remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for the many blessings you have blessed each of us with. We thank you for the city of Brownsville and the wonderful opportunities we have here. Lord God, we thank you that you understand each issue that each of us are facing individually and our families. And Lord, I ask you to help us to trust you with those issues. Help us to humble ourselves to realize you have the answers we need and you want to give those to us. On a grander scale, Lord, we ask you to lead and guide our mayor tonight and our city commissioners on every issue facing them tonight. Help them to make the very best decisions for the city of Brownsville. And we thank you for all of these things and we give you glory in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Now we'll have a short moment of silence where we can all add our prayers to what has already been spoken. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Next item, we have proclamations.
Yes, I believe we're waiting on somebody to show up on the first proclamation. So we're going to go ahead and move that to the end. So we'll go ahead and take up the second one.
The second proclamation would be for recognizing Mr. Bradley Freeman.
Who's here to receive that?
If Mr. Freeman or anyone else would like to come up
Yes, please
for the
come up.
presentation.
We're in the presence of a celebrity.
Welcome. Commissioner?
A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, proclaiming March 21st, 2023 as Bradley Freeman Jr. Day. Whereas we are here to express special recognition to Bradley Freeman Jr., born and raised in the city of Brownsville, Texas on June 22nd, 1998. Whereas Bradley Freeman Jr. discovered his love of puppeteering at the age of 5 with his first puppet, Matt the Monkey, and watching The Muppet Show. With a camcorder at his side, a television in front of him, Bradley began nurturing his craft of puppeteering, creating his own storylines and building the path to his future, right in the comfort of his home here in Brownsville. Whereas growing up, Bradley developed his love of the arts, engaging and participating in school and community productions, which served him well when he traveled to New York City while attending the University of Texas at San Antonio to participate in a Sesame workshop, which aims to train and recruit up-and-coming performers for the unparalleled children's educational television program Sesame Street. Whereas hoping to get constructive feedback from a producer at Sesame Street, Bradley submitted a puppeteering demo reel after the workshop, and to his surprise, that reel turned into a job offer. He started his career with the show in 2021 in the role of Wes, for Sesame Street and Communities programming. He then transitioned into the role of Tamir, starting in season 53 of the program. He is now working alongside some of the actors and performers he's looked up to at Sesame Street, the giant in the world of puppeteering. Whereas using his platform to educate millions, Bradley is proud to be bringing delicate but necessary conversations to the forefront. Conversation topics that include race, homelessness, divorce, and disabilities, among other important discussions facing families, all part of the educational lessons Sesame Street has been known for 53 years. Whereas this proclamation is presented to Bradley Freeman Jr., a Brownsville bright light that shows us all that anything and everything is possible when you dream it and commit to your passion. Bradley, you are a valued constituent dedicated to both the arts and this community. Now, whereas the City of Brownsville Commission does hereby proclaim March 21, 2023, Bradley Freeman Jr. Day in the City of Brownsville, and we encourage all Brownsville residents to recognize Bradley Freeman Jr.'s commitment and dedication to the arts and the impact he is generating in families across the world. Done this 21st day of March, 2023, signed Mayor and City Commission of Brownsville, Texas. And for those who don't know, Commissioner Rose Gowan was the OBGYN who delivered Bradley when he was born. I like that. That's right. And Bradley, if you or Tamir would like to say anything, please feel free to come up to the podium.
Hello? Hello? And hello. You'll be getting my back and I apologize. but you can watch the live stream later. It'll be. Well, thank you everybody for being here. This is an incredible honor that I had never expected to receive. Growing up in Brownsville was, of course, amazing, as many of us know. It's a beautiful small town where no matter where you go, you always recognize somebody. There's always somebody to say hi to. And so coming back after having done all of these, gone on all these crazy adventures with Sesame Street and then the Muppets, and there's always somebody who recognizes me even if I don't really recognize them. And so that's been a very interesting experience. I never became a puppeteer for that reason, but, and I didn't become a puppeteer to have our beautiful holiday Bradley Freeman Jr. Day that we will now celebrate every year, I fully expect, all of us. The way that we celebrate Bradley Freeman Jr. Day is we drink water and make good decisions. So just do that. The other thing that I think is great about today is for those kids and adults, parents, teachers, whoever is watching this now, will be reading about it later, sees it on TV or on YouTube or in school, wherever. If this moment shows that even the silliest dream of wanting to play a character on Sesame Street, whether it be Tamir or a chicken or a pickle, which I have played on Sesame Street. I played a pickle, and it was a very fun day. It's all possible. Doesn't matter how crazy it is. You can do it here. You can do it anywhere. Success, travel, your distance away from your hometown is not the measure of success. It's your happiness and you're able to follow your passion and not let anybody else get in your way. So if there's something that I want people to take from today, it's to remember that whatever you dream, no matter how crazy it is, it's possible and you can do it. Thank you.
And Bradley, congratulations. For me, it's always a surprise when I see people from Brownsville that are representing us all over. And I'm always surprised to hear of all the success that Brownsville residents achieve. And thank you so much for being an inspiration to everyone. And thank you for all of your work on Sesame Street and elsewhere. You're an inspiration to all of us, and thank you for your words.
Next proclamation, we have honoring and recognizing centenarian Teodoro Ramírez Silva.
Bienvenidos a la familia. If they would like to step up, anyone here, and I know that Mr. Ramirez is here. I don't know if he can stand up for very long, but if you would like for him to just stay at the podium or maybe just.
Whatever's easiest for him, definitely.
Sí. O si gusta sentar ahí, si gusta sentarse ahí. Bienvenido, señor Ramírez. No sé si me pueda escuchar, pero este honor es para usted. Proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, honoring and recognizing Teodoro Ramirez Silva for his centennial birthday. Whereas Teodoro Ramirez Silva was born on March 12, 1923 in Jimenez, Tamaulipas, Mexico, to Josefina Silva Velez of Jimenez, Tamaulipas, and Julián C. Ramirez Fuentes of Montemorelos, Nuevo León, who was killed during the Mexican Revolution fighting against Pancho Villa revolutionaries. Whereas at the age of 10, Teodoro Ramirez Silva took refuge from the 1933 Tampico hurricane in a small shack that ravaged the city of Baghdad, now known as Playa Baghdad. He vividly remembers Ben holding onto the beams of the shack, trying to keep it from blowing away. Whereas as a young man, Mr. Ramirez worked in construction and helped build roads and bridges in Mexico. On September 25, 1944, he married Francisca González Jaramillo in Jimenez, Tamaulipas, who's here with us today. The two of them will be celebrating their 79th wedding anniversary later this year. See. Whereas after he married, Mr. Ramirez came to the United States in search of better opportunities. One of his patrones became his sponsor, and he was able to file the necessary paperwork that would allow him to legally immigrate and bring his family to the United States. Whereas in the 1960s, he started working as a migrant farm worker in California. He joined the National Farm Workers Association and marched alongside Cesar Chavez, fighting against poor pay and deplorable working conditions for the farm workers. Whereas in the 1970s, Mr. Ramirez permanently settled in Brownsville, working at Sea Garden Sales, building shrimp boat equipment, and later as a gardener. Mr. Ramirez is an active member and volunteer at the Good Shepherd Catholic Church. Whereas this gentleman is the perfect example of someone who has lived the American dream. He worked hard to emigrate and bring his family to this country. Having taught his children and grandchildren good morals and values, some of his descendants are now successful engineers, nurses, teachers, truck drivers, and veterans. His most valuable legacy will be his generosity, respect, integrity, and love for family. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby honor and recognize Teodoro Ramirez Silva as an exemplary citizen of Brownsville, and humbly asks all citizens to acknowledge Mr. Ramirez's accomplishments and contributions to our community done on this, the 21st day of March, 2023. Anyone else of his family who wants to be in the picture? I would personally like to thank Nat Flores and then Veronica Medellin Sastre for helping me to get the information for this proclamation. I don't know if Mr. Ramirez would like to say a few words. So.
I was blessed enough to attend the birthday party, and of course, the first question I asked him was, what's the secret to living 100 years? Like, there's got to be a secret or a trick to it, right? And he told me the answer is patience. So I'm trying to learn patience now.
¿Quiere decir unas palabras? Gracias. Gracias por todo lo que hacen por nosotros.
Just on behalf of the Ramirez family, we want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to, say nice things about him on a special day. It's not everybody that reaches to be 100 years old, and he truly is a good example of reaching the American dream. So thank you on behalf of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Muy feliz y muy agradecido de todo lo que están haciendo por nosotros.
¿Cuál es el secreto para esos 100 años?
No, pues portarse uno bien y alcanzar algo.
Perfecto, felicidades, que Dios te bendiga.
Gracias, igualmente.
We now have next proclamation recognizing Nicholas Alexander Torres.
Welcome. Come on up.
The next proclamation is a very special one for me. This one is for Nicholas. He is our spelling bee champ. And I'll go ahead and start reading. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing Nicholas Alexander Torres. Whereas Nicholas Alexander Torres is a fifth grade honor student at Egley Elementary School. He is the son of Clemente Tomas Torres and Rebecca Rose Reyes. Whereas he is an exemplary student who is very dedicated to his studies and is also known for his benevolence. He has received numerous academic awards every year he has been enrolled at Egley Elementary School. He has received numerous perfect attendance awards, as well as the Egley Shining Knight Award, and has previously competed in the campus spelling bee competition. He has also competed in the district science fairs and in the University Interscholastic League, UIL, Music Memory, where he placed first place. This year, he competed in the UIL spelling competition and received first place in spelling. He is also currently participating in the fifth grade honor choir. Whereas Nicholas won the Brownsville Independent School District spelling bee competition. This competition consisted of 12 rounds, included 44 students in grades 3 through 8th grade. Nicholas won all 12 rounds and was named the Brownsville Independent School District Spelling Bee Champion on February 4th, 2023. He also competed in the regional competition in which he placed 7th out of 42 students. This competition was held on March the 4th, 2023 in Edinburgh, Texas. Whereas Nicholas was recognized by the Brownsville Independent School District Superintendent and school board, and was given a trophy, medal, and pin, and a tablet, and recognized via social media. He was also recognized at the campus level via announcements, marquees, social media, and campus newsletter. Whereas his hard work and dedication has not only brought recognition and pride to him and his family, but also to his school and community. He hopes to influence others to do their best and especially influence his two sisters, Merida Elizabeth and Luna Rose, to follow in their dreams and to never give up. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested in the charter of said city, and on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby recognize Nicholas Alexander Torres for his accomplishments done on this 21st day of March, 2023. Thank you.
I want to thank my fifth grade teachers, Miss Quintanilla, Miss Zuniga, Miss Gomez, and Miss Damba. And I would also like to thank all the other teachers at Eggley who helped me get through these accomplishments and helped me get through everything. I'd also like to thank my family who encouraged me even when I was in doubt.
Next item, we have public comment period. We have 5 public comments. First one is Ms. Susan Gutierrez.
Ms. Gutierrez here? Okay, we'll move on. Oh, there she is. Hello, please just let us know your name and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Susan Gutierrez. This is my husband, Robert Gutierrez. We live on 4 Augusta. We live on 4 Augusta Road. I'd like to address the commissioners and the mayor. Thank you very much.
Sorry, can you speak closer to the microphone because I'm having trouble hearing you? Where do you live exactly?
4 Augusta Road,
Sorry, what road?
4 Augusta Road.
Augusta, Road. Okay, thank you.
We are the concerned neighbors living on South Central Avenue between Billy Mitchell and Boca Chica. This letter is to formally petition the Brownsville City Authorities representatives to intervene in our multiple attempts made to the city of Brownsville to fix the issues in our street. There are several issues that need immediate attention that are not only causing street damage and structural damage to our homes, but also putting children, the elderly, and family at risk for bodily damage and/or death. There is increasingly high traffic coming through Central Avenue at all hours of the day, with peaks concentrated during the rush hour in the morning and afternoon. The traffic most often violates traffic speeds, and when we turn into our streets, cars move to opposite lane to bypass. There is a high amount of large delivery trucks coming through a residential area, violating the small no truck signs on each end. We see 18-wheelers, UPS, Federal Express, along with Brownsville Transit. We understand that there are deliveries to be made in this resident area by UPS, school buses, and Federal Express, but there is no reason we should be seeing 18-wheelers who have a difficult time turning into the street and completely neglecting our signs. We have contacted the following city offices for assistance multiple times to help fix, maintain the street, Central Avenue, City Engineering, Traffic Department, Police Department, Public Works. When contacted, the city and on occasion has fixed the potholes after numerous calls. In between the times we have called to fix the potholes, our homes are being physically damaged due to high volume, heavy traffic. Central Avenue has become a high-traffic street over the years, which has led to our homes enduring construction damage such as severe foundation, wall, and tile cracks. As our most recent Cameron County Appraisal District evaluation for our neighborhood homes have increased in taxable values, we are finding no relief to combat against the damage incurred on our homes by the lack of attention to our street and traffic. We have been told that the city cannot add speed bumps because Central Avenue is an artery for first responders. However, this logic does not stand when the closest firehouse is in the southmost area and has to go through speed bumps on Morningside Road. We have no other closed firehouses or police stations. The city of Brownsville has neglected this area for many years. The city does not properly maintain, fix our street, Central Avenue, leading it to become a complete burden on us to attempt to maintain our home's constructible damage, which has become very costly, when we must fix and maintain every single year. As we write this letter, one of our neighbors is paying damages from a car accident. 2 cars were racing, as this happens often at night, and one of them lost control of the car and slammed into a parked truck, which damaged 3 cars in total. This accident is one of 2 within the month of March. Something must be done. We come to you, City of Brownsville, as a last resort. Every time we contact the city, we are transferred to different departments, i.e. Traffic Department, Engineer Department, etc. Since we are paying such a high tax rate, it would be nice if the tax monies are used to fix, maintain the infrastructure to prevent further damages to our neighborhood homes. Do we really have to wait for a powerful storm to have the city of Brownsville fix the streets and our homes? I have 16 signatures, and within the 16 signatures, the neighbors have reported 6 accidents over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify, it was Central Avenue in Boca Chica? Central, the corner of Central?
Boca Chica and Billy Mitchell.
Okay, thank you.
Next public comment is Ms. Vanessa R. Alanis.
Hello. My name is Vanessa Alanis, and Mayor, City Councilors, Commissioners, I'd like to present my concern of not having a 24/7 animal emergency clinic here in Brownsville. It is of concern that as responsible guardians of our pets, of the fact that the mayor pushed to get bark underway, and now we are eliminating, which I'm very happy about, putting down pets in shelters. This becomes a bigger responsibility on our part to make sure that we have something here in our city limits versus heading over to the upper valley with fear that our pets will not make it on time. Sorry, I'm going to get very emotional about this. So they are our family. We want to take care of them, and I just want to know what I need to do, what we need to do, and what the community needs to do to make this realistic. Thank you.
Next public comment, we have Mr. Juan Richer.
Welcome, Mr. Richer. You'll have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Juan Richer. I'm the owner of the Manitou Building on 12th. I'm the owner of the Manitou Building on 12th in Washington, directly across the street from the Market Square Building. The reason I am currently an applicant with the BCIC, a grant program under MEP, which in essence I'm intending to replace a sprinkler system that's in my building that's completely non-functional. The current issue is that yesterday I was verbally told that my application will be on hold until I submit a permit drawing. I only have one to do. I request that I'll be allowed to use a provision in the BIC manual. And that's on their page 5. It's under participation agreement. That would allow me to continue my process and submit the permanent drawings after the project has been reviewed, approved, and then I can submit the permanent drawings, and they can proceed with the agreement, and then at that point, funding will be provided when I do the work. So it's basically allowing me to use a provision within the manual that allows me to do this. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Marlon Duran.
Hello, welcome. Just please tell us your name and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, hello. My name is Marlon Duran. Commissioners, I am here to speak about the persecution of activist Rebecca Hinojosa. Last year, she was arrested for an alleged graffiti charge, which is a Class B misdemeanor. And usually people aren't arrested for Class B misdemeanors. She was grabbed out of her home without a warrant in her PJs. Her glasses were taken away. And, you know, Mayor Mendez published her mugshot and place of employment on Facebook, which is, I think, a very strong abuse of power. We shouldn't allow the precedent of activists being attacked because of standing up for our communities and to save our environment, to save Boca Chica Beach, which is threatened by SpaceX, several sacred indigenous sites. Also, the rent is going up and Brownsville is becoming less affordable for people. So we came a few weeks ago. We delivered a petition with 1,500 signatures asking you all to ask the DA, Luis Saenz, to drop the charge against Becca and to investigate Mayor Mendez for abuse of power. So we would ask you all to give us a response on that matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ali Schmidt.
Hi, I'm Ali Schmidt. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm here to echo the remarks of the last speaker. I would also like to draw attention to the political prosecution of Rebecca Hinojosa for allegedly spray painting gentrified Stop SpaceX below the BTX mural downtown. And I'd just like to ask all of you to think a little bit about the priorities of your position, your role as leaders in the community, and if the priority here is to protect SpaceX, to protect those who have the money to pay for murals, to pay to have their message put downtown, or is your role to stand for the community, to stand up for the needs of the people, and to stand up for activists who are trying to give voice to the community, to stand up for the environment? Now, why do we know it was a political prosecution? Because she was treated differently than other people arrested or charged with the same type of misdemeanor. And because, Mr. Mayor, you're posting about her on your Facebook when other people arrested for many other crimes, many more serious crimes, didn't get the same treatment, just makes it look bad. So I'm here to ask all of the commission, find it in your heart to support Ms. Hinojosa, to contact the district attorney and ask that the charges be dropped. And whether there's corruption here or not, there's the appearance of corruption. So let's make sure that Brownsville stands for the community and for the people and not for the money from billionaires from outside of our area. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next item, we have consent agenda items.
I'll ask that item number 3 to be taken out and considered separately. Otherwise, I move to approve the.
I'd also ask that item 6 be taken out as well. Do we have any motions to approve without items 3 and 6.
I'll
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, item 3.
Oh, I'll abstain from that one.
Okay, very good.
I'll move to approve item 3.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. And on item 6, my question on this, it looks like a 3-year contract regarding internet access at the city of Brownsville. My question is, we obviously know about BTX fiber coming online. This is a 3-year contract. Can you kind of let me know the association on that? If you're planning to have our fiber, is it related, or can you just explain that a little bit more for us, please?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor.
Hey, welcome.
James McCoy, Enterprise Applications. On behalf of the library, this is actually a E-rate grant through the schools and libraries. It is for internet access at the library systems. It doesn't provide access to the city. It's mainly for the libraries.
Okay, so it's like the computer lab internet, or what?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Is
that.
it for the computers that are actually in the
for
library?
For both library branches. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And you said it's a grant?
Yes,
Okay, fully funded?
80%.
Okay, good. All right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, James.
Next item is public hearings. Public hearing number 1, public hearing in action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2023-006 to rezone from residential single family to residential suburban for 13.79 acres of land, more or less, out of the northeast corner of Block 5, El Jardín subdivision, Share 33 of Share 19, Espiritu Santo Grant, located at the intersection of Rancho Viejo Avenue and Dana Avenue.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Applicant is requesting to rezone this property from residential single-family R1 to residential suburban R2 for the purpose of establishing a duplex development. There were 25 mailouts with no verbal or written opposition. The predominant land use in the surrounding area is single-family dwelling. Additional uses such as undeveloped land, multifamily development, and public schools are also present within proximity of the subject property. Here's a street view of the subject property. This is the aerial view. Now, staff would like to point out that a preliminary plat for a single-family subdivision has already been approved for this property. In the event that this case is approved, a developer wishes to keep this street configuration. However, the amount of lots will be reduced for the purpose of increasing each lot size to better accommodate each duplex. The proposed use will be compatible and will fit within the character of the neighborhood. Therefore, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. Planning and zoning recommended approval to rezone from residential single-family to residential suburban.
Okay, so just to clarify then, the plan that was presented, you said it was going to reduce the amount of lots. Is that what has been approved already?
Yes.
Okay.
So currently we have 54 lots approved.
Okay.
That will be reducing by about 4 to 5 lots to increase the square footage of each lot.
Okay, and the developer's aware of that? I mean,
It is their wish.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think this is excellent because I recently just met with the superintendent and they really appreciate it when they're able to have apartments and duplexes right next door to schools. Makes it easier for parents to access the school in the morning, so this is great.
Am I hearing you correctly, though? You're going to make the lots smaller for duplexes?
Larger.
Larger.
Okay. I thought you were saying.
We actually have here the developer, if you have any
It
questions
was
for
to
them.
reduce the number of lots, not the
Okay.
size of lots. And do we know what the new lot size would be? Do we know what the new lot size would be?
Average 8,000 square feet.
What would the frontage on that be? I see they were 57 and a quarter
They're-
previously.
Right, they're going wider on each lot.
What would be the new width?
Honestly, wouldn't have that number, but we have the developer here.
It's on there, Roy. It looks like it varies on each one, 65, 54 and a half, 57,
Is this
80.
the old one or the new one, though?
Oh, well, good point.
On the new ones, the average is going to be
Thank you.
Come on up to the mic.
Yeah.
That way you're caught for the folks at home.
Also, talking to the schools next door, we went and did an access so the kids can walk straight to the school, and we're making a 20-foot concrete, kind of like sidewalk,
Okay.
so the kids can have access to the school.
That's awesome. That saves us from building.
And what school?
We have Gallegos and Breeden, so both of them are, we're in the middle both.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
Sure.
On the Dana Road frontage, is there no sidewalk or is that,
Yes, we're also going to put a sidewalk on the Dana.
okay, it's marked differently, so that's why I was asking.
So it'll have sidewalk through the front and you're
Front,
gonna make,
side, and then inside the subdivision, so the kids don't have to walk all the way around by Dana. They could actually cross through the back here, straight to the school and lot.
Is that like
Between
diagonal?
lot 9
mark?
and 10. Is that correct? By the cul-de-sac.
wonderful.
And said here, are these lots going to be for sale or are you going to develop them?
No, we're going to develop them ourselves. We're going to sell the duplex and keep some holding it as rental properties. But they're all going to be consistent with what we did on Paredes and next to the dollar store. And they're on average, they're about 3,000 square feet, so they're good size duplex, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Okay.
Great.
Any other comments or questions for the commission?
I'd just like to say to staff, and on this, I think this is consistent with land use in this area, and I see there's no objections. I'm not going to object to it either. But I think for the future, staff would want to think about what the regulations are with regard to duplexes. Because essentially, we're going to add 5 feet per lot, but double the number of occupants per lot. And that's, when it comes to traffic concentration or the number of cars in a subdivision, that's going to lead to a lot more cars parking on the street. And I just know I've been through neighborhoods that are now duplexes, and it's tough to maneuver because of the width of the road. Now you've got a lot more traffic parked on both sides, and it gets to the point where you can almost get one vehicle through at a time versus traffic flowing. Right now, it's in compliance with our ordinances and laws, so thank you guys for that. And I appreciate the extra things like the sidewalks and the connection to the school.
Just so you know, the duplex will have garages, so it shouldn't be that many cars on the road because we are putting garages so they can park inside the garage.
Just as a housekeeping matter, I'm just going to open the public hearing so that your comments can be registered. You're good. Any other questions or concerns? All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak on this item?
I'll move to close, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion to close. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Now, do we have any motions on the item?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, we have items for individual consideration. Item number 1, consideration and action to approve the Home American Rescue Plan allocation plan in the amount of $3,324,820.
Good evening, City Commissioners and Mayor. My name is Sandra Barba. I'm the Housing Manager with this Office of Strategic Initiatives. I am here to ask for your consideration and action on the Home ARP allocation plan. ARP would stand for American Rescue Plan. The purpose of the Home ARP funds is to reduce homelessness and increase housing stability for families and individuals in our community. The City of Brownsville received $3,324,820 of Home ARP funds. Home ARP funds are a one-time grant. As per HUD guidelines, the qualifying populations are homeless, at risk of being homeless, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking. Other vulnerable populations include families and individuals in unstable housing situations and veterans. This is a Home ARP timeline. I will go into specifics into each of the labels here. So as per HUD guidelines, the consultation process entailed stakeholder and citizen surveys. Stakeholders would be homeless service providers, veteran advocates, and we interviewed, we surveyed, and we met with organizations such as the ones that are listed on the slide. We also presented to the Cameron County Homeless Coalition and the Cameron County Office of Veteran Services. More resources and information can be found in the website indicated in the slide. Another portion of the allocation plan is the citizen participation and technical assistance. So again, we engage with the citizens through surveys. We have also an SOI Facebook page with home ARP information and surveys, the link to the survey. And also per HUD guidelines, we had a 15-day public comment period. During that time, we had a public hearing, which was on February 28th at the May Public Library. Another portion of the allocation plan is the HUD technical assistance. HUD provided assistance through TDA Consulting, as well as the office staff, city staff attended 2 of the home ARP problem-solving clinics in person. After the consultation process and gathering the feedback, we were able to make the following recommendations. Recommendation number 1, tenant-based rental assistance, which entails assistance for rental assistance, security deposits, utility deposits, and utility payments, with $1,413,048.50 approximately, and supportive services. Supportive services entails adult education, job training, transportation, case management, child care, legal services, among other services, with $1,413,048.50 approximately. And the 15% administration for the city of Brownsville for the monitoring of the program. Next steps. So we have a HUD deadline of March 31st, 2023. HUD will review the allocation plan after 45 days. There will be a call for applications around August 2023. This is when we're going to invite the nonprofit organizations who we've already consulted and met with to apply for funding. We will have an application review committee that will happen on or about September 2023, and then we will bring those results to City Commission on or about October 2023. At this time, this is all the information I have, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So, in my opinion, certainly homelessness is a very, very, very complex issue that is never solved just by putting up housing or temporary structures. And that's been proven in many, many cities across the country and the world. We brought some of this to light several years ago and talked with experts through the University of Texas about programs that were multifunctional and looked at all of that. So I'm feeling that your support services portion is going to be almost more important in many ways than and I see people shaking their heads, than the housing, although I don't want to diminish the importance of the housing. So how are you going to design those support services? Because they're precious dollars that need to be used in the best way with great attention to accountability.
Yes. So we are already collaborating with different nonprofits and providers of services for homeless individuals. So we will continue to work with them. We will open up the application process and review their applications. And then from that point, decide who performance and well, we will decide the funding. And then again, we will bring that to City Commission for approval.
So I would encourage you to seek out some education on your own of what is best practice and what has worked in other cities, so that you're prepared for the applications that you receive.
Yes, thank you.
And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in a very positive way. There are precious dollars.
Yes.
Or you have something?
Go ahead, I'll go last.
Another thing is, I mean, I get the application part of it, but we have a lot of homeless who are not going to go apply. Down here, I mean, just a few blocks from here, we will see the mental health issue of this, the drug abuse issue. So I think it is important on what Dr. Gowan just said about going out there and, I mean, trying to figure out how we can get to them, and try to really work with them, because this is, I mean, I understand the home part of it, but I think the service part is very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So then let me add to that, and I understand we're up against a March 31st deadline, and that's always a tough position to be in. So I think first I'll have a question. Does the submission of this plan lock us into these numbers?
It does not.
It does not?
It does not.
At any point, we could definitely do a substantial amendment to reallocate some of the funding.
Okay.
So there's always possibility to come back and re-approach the funding. So we do need to submit the plan before the deadline, but we do have mechanisms to come and reallocate some of the funding.
If we see that the need is greater in services, we can adjust. Okay,
That's
very
correct.
good.
So it could be done throughout the process of the funding.
And my next question would be, because we know one of the biggest challenges that we face as a city has been the lack of a shelter in the downtown area, and that limits what we can do with the homeless. I know we had grant monies that were available. I know there's a clock ticking on those. Is that something that was considered as part of this? Is adding to those funds to give us more options to what we can do with regard to establishing a shelter in downtown?
Yes. So the additional funding, you're speaking, Commissioner, that's the ESG funding. Talking with Osanam, they look on their current needs. They do have particular needs, some roof repairs, looking at their site and eventually kind of expand. But one of the key component for a home ARP is the supportive services, transportation, right? Part of the Homeless Coalition, we do have Texas Tropical that's supporting us. And we have different other entities and organizations that are going to give that supportive services. A lot of individuals that are in the situation, sometimes they do have mental situations. Some of them are even veterans. So we did consult with different organizations to support us. So we're going to continue doing the call for organizations to support the overall scheme of the homeless population that we have. In addition to that, it's a whole approach of education, job, childcare. So, right, it's a whole aspect, not just housing, as Commissioner Gowan mentioned. But yes, those are some of the ideas. Osanam being one of our biggest partners to try to bridge that gap that we have.
Very good. I thank you guys for what you're doing on this, and I'd encourage you guys, I know it'll come back to us in October for approval, but give us an update sometime between now and then to let us know how it's going, the applications that we're seeing, the needs that are being serviced, and things of that nature.
Would do.
Thank you.
So even though homeless is a very important issue, you also said that you could address domestic violence victims and I think fixed income seniors, I guess, would be the right way to put it. So I remember that last year during the summer, there were two different apartment projects in my district that had applied for the tax credits. One was going to have units for domestic violence victims, and the other one was going to be a senior living arrangement. Would housing complexes like that be able to qualify for this kind of money if they address these issues?
So the funding for home ARP does have non-congregate shelters, right, which are very specific to the funding sources. Mainly is trying to address not a typical shelter. But yes, as a proposed project that we currently have, we have tenant-based rental, which is providing the support for them to get housing for a term. But at a later date, we do have, looking in particular what project those are, if they meet the criteria, we could definitely come back and look at that substantial amendment and kind of change some of the funding. But they're very particular on the population that we listed. Actually, just going back. So they have to, so the funding does have to meet these particular criteria. So we also are going to be working with Friendship of Women, which is our domestic violence organization. But if they meet any criteria, there's definitely an opportunity for us to look at, as it's submitted, come back and do some rearrangements of the funding itself.
And I remember hearing that the Housing Authority was going to take vouchers for children in foster care that are aging out and maybe give them housing. That I would like if we could also focus on that because they're at high risk of becoming homeless and then becomes a cyclical pattern. I know that the resources are tight and it's hard to spread it really thin, but I think we have to distribute the resources as best we can.
Yes, we actually have a potential partner that's kind of targeting the foster individuals that are aging out of foster care. So we could provide the supportive services of looking housing, also looking for, skills training, education. So that's all the components for the supportive services. So that's something that we will definitely keep an eye on.
Thank you.
Thank you for your dedication to these services.
Appreciate it.
It's appreciated.
And if you need help reaching out to the folks at UT, and let me know, and either Dr. Rodriguez or myself can easily connect you.
Would appreciate it.
Action item?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, we have consideration and action on first reading of ordinance number 2023-1652-C-2, Schedule C, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 94, Taxation, Article 2, ad valorem taxes, Division 2, exemptions, Section 94-57, historic sites by repealing and replacing Section 94-57B, 2022 Historic Preservation Plan Tax Abatement Program with the 2023 Historic Preservation Plan, Schedule C, Tax Abatement Program, tabled on March the 7th, 2023.
Before we go any further, I just want to go on the record that I'm going to abstain and I'll step out for this.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the commission. On March 7th, not only did you table, but you also conducted a public hearing on the ordinance, and that was complete. Today on the consent agenda, you approved the ordinance along with Schedule A and B. And so this is the first reading on Schedule C. PowerPoint.
Rick, since it's a first reading, we have a time, I know we're on a time crunch on this. When is the second one? By when do you need it approved?
We're going to go ahead and move forward with the other taxing entities, and we'll forward the information and we'll put the second reading on your next agenda.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go to the first picture. So the commission, when you table this item, you did ask for some additional information on the 8 properties, and we're going to provide you that this evening. This first property is designated by the Texas Historic Commission as a significant property. It is a state marker. It contributes to the fabric of the historic district, and it is in the border brick Creole style. This property is currently working with the Texas Historic Commission to bring their property back into compliance with their preservation plan. And it is up for consideration for 100% tax abatement. Next property. The next property is the Walker Bennett Building. The significance of this property is it does contribute to the fabric of the historic district. It's associated with the St. Louis Brownsville Mexico Railroad. It was granted 2 years to achieve its state designation. They were not able to accomplish that in 2 years. We don't have an application to the state on file, but we would like to continue to work with them to achieve their state designation. The next property.
Rick, really quick, on the one before, on a building like that, are you going to be asking that the applicant paint the building or bring it up to at least a better standard? Because I know that you send letters out for painting.
Correct.
Structures, so is that going to be part of it?
It is, Mayor, and if we, as we review the ordinance itself, we're going to ask for the submission of preservation and maintenance plans. That's our goal if we rewrite the ordinance, and then we would have those documents before we would even bring them forward to the commission in the future.
Okay, thanks.
The next building is the Alamo Iron Works Warehouse. This property also contributes to the fabric of the historic district. and it's also associated with the St. Louis-Brownsville, Mexico Railroad. This property does not have any evidence of preservation activity presently, but we would like to work with them on a preservation plan, code updates, and maintenance plan as well. The next property is the MH Cross Building. This building does contribute to the historic district. It was developed by the HM Cross family, and it is in the border brick Creole style of architecture as well. This property, as the commission indicated, would like to provide assistance to. It needs a preservation plan. Hopefully with the rewrite of the ordinance, we can look at other options like Chapter 380, CDBG, or HOT for potential historic preservation funding and work in partnership with the owner. And with that, we have final two properties. These properties were scheduled to be presented to the Historic Preservation Commission. However, the commission adjourned prior to the consideration of these two buildings. What we brought them forward for the commission to consider, given their contribution to the fabric of the historic district. They're in the mid-century modern style. Only 50 similar buildings like this remain in the U.S. We feel the property needs a preservation plan, specifically focus on the restoration of the front facade back to its original presentation. And that's that one. Next one is the Sauter Building. The significance of this building, we also feel it contributes to the fabric of the historic district. It's in the border brick style along with the Creole style. It needs a preservation plan as well. With that, again, so do contribute to the fabric of the historic district, and we're presenting them to you tonight for consideration.
You still have 7 and 8, Rick.
7 and 8. Oh, did I miss 2? Let's see. Oh, okay. This building is the Walker Craig Building. It's contributing within the National Historic District. It's part of the St. Louis, Brownsville, and Mexico Railroad. It is contributing to the fabric of the historic district. The problem with this property, it did receive the maximum 5 years of abatement. And so as the commission considers a rewrite of the ordinance, we would again review the time limits on those caps. We think it needs to be more performance-based, where the amount of money spent on preservation or code compliance ties into the number of years. Right now, the ordinance does not allow that.
So I have a question about that one. The previous one, number 7. So if it was for 5 years, but it's now 7 years, and there's no evidence of preservation activity, so why would we continue that?
Well, this one is recommended by the Historic Preservation Commission. We present all their recommendations to the commission, but we're also suggesting that if the commission directs staff to rewrite the ordinance, the probability is we'll be recommending more than a 5-year cap, depending on the amount of money that is spent by the property owner on preservation and code compliance.
So they don't have to prove any evidence of preservation activity on the property? They can just go on without making any improvements and still get?
Under the current ordinance, that's correct.
Wow, okay.
I mean, the way that it should be regulated is the Preservation Committee stripping it of any benefits.
True.
But they didn't do that we don't know why. Because your comments make sense. It's been more than 5 years. There's no evidence of preservation. Why did they do it? I don't think they have an answer.
And the final one is similar. It has exceeded the number of years, but it is contributing to the historic district. It was built in 1945, warehouse and border brick and Creole style. And this was also recommended for approval by the HPC and the P&Z as well.
So first, let me thank staff for the extra effort that you guys went to on this. I think we have a much better understanding on property by property basis. I have a question for council. Given that the ordinance specifies 5 years, does the commission have the latitude to grant continued exemption on properties that have already exceeded that? Or would we be in violation of ordinance?
While he's doing on that, can we have a motion to remove it from the table?
Oh, I'll move to draw from the table.
A motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Gave you an extra 10 seconds to come up with an answer.
I believe that we would be in violation. I don't think there is any other language that says, that allows that the ability to go beyond 5 years.
And one other question, property number one. From what I read, property number one has had this now for 6 years. I know we called out properties 7 and 8 because they're at year 7, but we did not call out property number one, which appears to be at 6.
Are you talking about the Garza Barreda house?
Correct.
Can we go back to that on the slides, please?
Yeah, they've gone through the state review and designation process. They actually would be able to stay in the program indefinitely
Okay.
if they're in compliance with their state plan. And right now, they're working with the state to reconcile some recent construction on the site that is not consistent with their state plan. If they're unable to maintain compliance with their state plan, they would then drop down to a 50% tax abatement qualification.
That might be for future presentations, that would be something good to specify, because I know that was a question for me, is why are they past 5 and these other two are past 5?
Well, I think this one actually has had some work done, Roy. Like if you look at it, there's a new roof on there. I know that the owner's been working on this one particularly. I don't know what work they've been doing, but I know that there's work that's been done. You can see some of it on the photos.
Yes, some of it was without approval.
Right, that was, looks like that side area, the
Yeah.
demolition of a carport.
Do they have to remove that big metal part in the back?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Those were not part of the state approved plan. The entire closure of the patio was not in conformance to the state plan.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I got a few comments on here. I think what you're saying is very important. Let's do it on performance base. I think you do need to rewrite the ordinance, make it a lot more clear. And if we're gonna have a 5-year cap, we gotta follow it. If not, let's change it to performance base. I mean, with all that being said, I wouldn't wanna strip any of these and give them the benefit of the doubt, give them a year. And after that, I mean, if you just gotta be real firm with them and let them know, hey, if we don't see this happen, it's over. That would be my thoughts on it, because it is a little, it's not very clear. So, I mean, we sat there, we did it for about 30, 40 minutes. I think we were there and we just couldn't really come to a conclusion on it. So that would be my 2 cents on this.
And let me add to that, and I think a code rewrite is in order, and going performance-based is in order. If we're going to do that, I think one, either planning and zoning needs to be engaged or needs to be removed from the process. If they're just gonna be a rubber stamp, don't waste their time and don't waste our time with what their recommendation is or isn't. We don't need to see a rubber stamp. Same thing with historic preservation. To have something come before us that didn't even get considered by them, that to me, they failed a little bit in their responsibilities there. I think if all of these properties were on it, they should have reviewed, given consideration to each and every one, and advanced that to the commission. And I understand sometimes meetings run long, but you're talking about 2 properties. And again, because of factors related to those 2 properties, it makes it look capricious, and we can't be involved in anything like that.
Let me chime in also really briefly on that is, I can understand considering longer than 5 years if there's actually work being done. But on these, there's no preservation attempt. So I don't think you should just extend it, but that's just me. And I would only recommend doing it more than 5 years in the future based on criteria where there's a significant investment made. I also think there has to be an effort by the owner to actually attempt to get a state or federal marker. That's kind of the point of doing that as well. I understand the money that's being put into these properties if there's actually preservation being done. And I understand the benefit that would be received if they significantly invest to try and preserve the property. But just to keep it on the list for more than 5 years when there's nothing being done, that doesn't look good on us at all.
We'll take that as a direction to rewrite the ordinance. We'll come up with an application process as well as documentation requirements before they move forward through the approval process next year.
And also, Rick, like I had mentioned to you earlier, I really, just based on my experience with this, I really think that the meeting should be earlier in the year to really kind of flesh out some of the properties that may have issues, give them an attempt to comply by a date certain before we take it up as a commission. I think that would be helpful for all of y'all too. Thanks. Do we have any motions?
One more question, Rick. Just remind me once again what you mentioned on property one. Even though they're at 6 years, it's because they have applied for state or they have qualified for state?
They actually have a state marker, which means you went through a review process with the Texas Historic Commission. You came up to an agreed upon preservation plan. And if you make any changes outside that plan, they must be submitted to THC for review and approval. That didn't happen on the carport or the sidewall and fence. So the owner is in contact with THC, trying to determine if they're going to be able to resolve that. If not, this will probably be the last year that they're in the 100%. It's actually indefinite. It's not 5 years. She's qualified out into the future if she stays consistent
Okay.
with her state plan. If she doesn't, if she decides she doesn't want to participate in the state program any longer, then she would drop down to a 50% abatement qualification for local designation.
If she drops, if she no longer qualifies for state, does that reset the clock on the 5 years or do the years she's already received count towards it? It resets the clock? Oh, it already counts. Okay, very good. That being the case, I'll make a motion to approve Schedule C for properties 1 through 6 and exclude 7 and 8 since they already exceed the 5 years.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks.
Next item, we have board appointments. Item number one, consideration.
Let's get Commissioner Galansky back in.
Item number one, consideration and action to approve resolution number 2023-020 to create and appoint at least 7 members to La Posada Park Task Force of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas for the future development of La Posada Park and other duties as assigned and authorizing such other actions necessary or convenient to carry out this resolution.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Commission. My name is Damaris McGlone. I am the Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Brownsville. We bring this back to you. We took note of the language to adjust the at least 7 members in case, due to the specific nature of this task force, if there should be more required. And to refresh your memories, 3 council members have made an appointment. So Commissioner Rose Gowen appointed Ms. Eva Garcia of the Parks Advisory Board. Commissioner Tetro appointed Eugene Fernandez. And Mayor, you appointed Murad Abuzalim from PCI. Thank you, sorry, Doctor. And then the 4 remaining, Commissioner Cardenas, Commissioner Cowan, Commissioner De Los Santos, and Commissioner Galansky, you have a remaining person to appoint. And I will mention the names that Eugene Fernandez had shared as potential task force members. One includes Renee Mariscal, who from PUB. He reached out to him and Renee was willing to serve. Mike Heap is a native plant specialist. Eugene also reached out to him. He is interested. And Luis Murillo is a historic architecture candidate, and as well as Calvin Walker for your consideration based. And those are Eugene Fernandez's recommendations for you to consider.
I move to appoint Calvin Walker.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Calvin Walker.
If I could add to discussion on that, because there was a list that I had from Gene Fernandez, and it seems that there are names missing.
If I missed, did I get, maybe I missed some?
I didn't see Calvin Walker on the list he sent me, and the list that I had included Alejandro Fierro from UTRGV, who's a botanist.
Okay.
I think Jesus Murillo might be the historical architect. And the only other thing I wanted to say was, considering that René Mariscal is with Brownsville PUB, it may be possible that he serves as a liaison to the task force versus taking up one of the seats.
Correct.
I have no objections to Mr. Walker. I just want to make sure all the names are out there on the record.
Well, those of us that know Gene know he doesn't really stick to his script.
True.
So not a surprise, not a surprise. All right, we had a motion and a second for Calvin Walker. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Commissioner Galansky, this is your district. You have an appointment?
Actually, I do, Renee Mariscal is a good one. There's one guy who works underneath that department, and he lives in District One. But I can't remember his name. I remember his wife's name. So, if I can get a moment to.
Yes.
I might have to, table it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Roy?
I'll go with Manuel Hinojosa, the archaeologist.
All right, we have Manuel Hinojosa. Is there a second? We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes, Commissioner?
Are we allowed? Are we allowed?
Oh, you already did.
Are we allowed to appoint a liaison such as Renee Mariscal or not?
It says, I don't see the issue with that at all. I think you kind of want to keep it to a certain amount of people. I don't see an issue with Renee being somebody we appoint rather than the liaison. It just adds more people to the committee. Depends on how many you want. But it says here, we kind of left that option open because we put at least 7 members.
So my plot twist is my appointment was Eugene last time,
Oh.
and then he told you all who to appoint.
Classic. All right. Commissioner Cowan, are you on? Do you have an appointment?
Sure. I'll make a motion to appoint Mike Heap.
Okay, we have a motion for Mike
Second.
Heap. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. And then Commissioner Galansky, you're going to go ahead and table yours?
Yes, please, because his wife has her maiden name, so I can't even tell you what his last name.
All right, no problem.
Mhm.
All right, we'll table that last one.
Okay, we'll bring that back. If it's okay to contact and assemble the task force while we wait for the last one, that way the commission did direct us to try to be timely in this, so we'll try to do that as well.
Just tell them that the commissioner for that district wants to hold it up.
Yes, okay. Okay,
I'm kidding. Yeah, go ahead. I think that
thank you,
works.
appreciate it.
And Commissioner Galansky, if you're ready at some point. we'll just-
Okay.
You can always bring it back in the same meeting if you get the name.
Could I do like so-and-so's husband?
No,
That's not right,
just take your
right?
time.
That's a legal question. Okay.
Take your time.
Yeah,
We'll,
so-
we have time in this meeting anyway.
Can she think about it during the whole meeting, and if she finds it, come back?
Yes.
Her name is Monica Delgado, but I know that she kept her maiden name, and it's not, his name is different, and I can't remember for the life
But-
of me right now.
Yes, it can come back up.
Sorry.
And I think also, even if it's not tonight, I think once you've got the name passed along to Parks, engage that person, get them involved in the process, and we just ratify it at the next meeting.
I think that's not correct.
Yeah, let's
Allowed.
leave
They're an
that as a last resort, all right?
All right, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Next, item 2.
Item number 2, consideration and action on resolution number 2023-039 to appoint, reappoint, or remove 4 members to the Airport Advisory Board.
Mayor, do we have to table the other one, since we had one left?
No, we haven't even tabled it, so we'll just leave that open.
All right.
We've appointed 3 and we can always bring it back.
Correct.
All right, is anybody presenting on this?
For airport,
Does not appear so.
All right, pretty self-explanatory. The only question I had, council, is for somebody that's outside the city limits, are they eligible for appointment or reappointment on this particular board?
If they own property in town, the ordinance allows for it. They're not a resident, but they own property.
Well, sometimes bylaws for the particular board may,
They wouldn't supersede ordinance.
I don't think, I would agree with that. I just don't know about the ordinance requirement about owning property. I know that there's certain times that we do allow it based on criteria. I don't know if owning property is one. I don't think Ed owns any property here, though.
Can you go back, please?
Okay, so the ones that are coming up from the current board looks like Ed and Juan Chapa.
yes, sir.
Okay.
There's something else I need to point out that appears to be a defect here. The term expirations that we are listing here seem to be in violation of ordinance. The ordinance states that terms start January 1st. So even if we're appointing people at some other time during the year, that would essentially be appointing for an unexpired term. Because if the ordinance specifies the first, then they're not allowed to go beyond that, or we shouldn't be indicating that a term expires beyond that.
Given
Term
that,
looks like the term did expire on the 23rd. They're just holdovers.
Oh, no, those, yes, but I'm saying like we've got some expiring in March,
yeah.
and December.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be legal.
So does anybody know, it looks like this is a 7-member committee, but we only have 5 that are currently serving. I don't know. Who's supposed to present?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We should have had, Brian Walker's traveling right now, and so he should have been at this meeting. We can table this item for the next city commission meeting.
I can
And that way we can make sure we answer all your questions.
I can speak to a little bit of that on why we're only seeing 5 right now. Manny Fossil was a member who was appointed 2 years ago at the same time Ed was and Juan Chapa was. He resigned because he was no longer in the industry and he's now an airport employee. Also, Patricia Guillermo was on the board. She was appointed at the same time as well. She resigned because she had taken a job which she felt would pose a conflict for her to serve on this board and in the job she was working, and she's no longer working that job. But that's why we're only seeing 5 instead of 7.
Why didn't those ever come up for appointment?
Good question.
All right. Do we have a motion to table this?
Motion
To table.
A motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
All right. Motion passes. It's tabled.
Item number 3, consideration and action to appoint 3 commission members to the Budget Committee for fiscal year 2024.
I'm going to go ahead and on this one, since we have 4 members that are up for either election or will be moving off the commission, I'm going to just suggest that the 3 members that are remaining on the commission be the appointees for this. So it's Commissioner Cardenas, Commissioner De Los Santos, and Commissioner Gowan. Anybody have an issue with that?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thanks.
Mayor, it is now 6:26. Would you like to make a motion to go into executive?
Yes. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Need a second to go into exec?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? All right. Be
They're
executive
enjoying it
session.
out here.
The following items will be considered during executive session. Item number 1, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property deliberation, and 551.087, economic development deliberation related to Project Wisteria. Item number 2, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney related to hotel occupancy tax. Item number 3, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, including contemplated or pending litigation and/or settlement offer related to Paul Seals, Port Isabel, Laguna Vista versus Brownsville. Item number 4, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, including contemplated or pending litigation under and/or settlement offer related to SMM Sports and Entertainment. Item number 5, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, including contemplated or pending litigation and/or settlement offer related to Circle X Recovery LLC. Item number 6, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel deliberation related to the selection of a city attorney. It is 7:42.
All right, we're back from executive session. Do we have any action on items in executive session?
Yes, Mayor. On, let's
Item
see.
number 6.
On item number 6, I'd like to make a motion to extend a job offer for the position of city attorney to Mr. Guillermo Will Trevino for the terms as discussed in executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Congratulations, sir. Well, let's make it formal. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Well, thank you so much.
Is that an official acceptance? Is that an official acceptance?
Yes.
Very good.
Can we get a no action on 1 through 5?
We're gonna have to get him a new name, new tag there.
You have to
name
get
tag,
pens
nameplate.
made.
And there's no action on items 1 through 5. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is now 7:43. Meeting has ended.